So if you're scared is just, I'm scared to walk into the gym, do it anyway, do it scared. And then you're going to feel so good. I've got goosebumps talking about it. You're going to feel so good when you do it, after you do it, because you're going to feel like you are worthy and you did it.
That was the lovely Renee Landers, who is a beautiful soul that I had the absolute pleasure of interviewing. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you, if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50, get in fantastic shape. And this time we're actually talking about a woman over 70. She's actually 71 and she's a bikini competitor. So she's so inspiring, and I showed this video of her recently and tons of you left comments saying that you would love to learn more about her. I had to get her onto my channel to talk to you guys, to maybe give you some inspiration. I'm sure you're going to agree when you listen to this. She is an absolute inspiration. So let's get into it.
I've just worked out over the years, didn't really work out with weights consistently till later on in life. But as I was getting older and in my 30s, and I had my son when I was like 34, I had been a runner during that time. I was running, 10Ks even during my pregnancy. But once I finished, once my son was born, I got started running again, and I could only get up to like 2 miles of running. And then my back was just killing me. My lower back, I couldn't handle it. I went to the doctor and he said, Renee, you have some serious problems. You can't continue to run. And I was pretty much devastated, because that was like my big fitness thing. And, people who run, you get the endorphins and all that. But I knew I wanted to continue being fit. What are you going to do? So I just did the best I could. When I got to be 58, I had a lower lumbar fusion. I had tried everything else. Nothing was working. It got so tough. I mean, I could barely walk. I'd actually started thinking, how am I going to run my business if I can't walk? Can I go there in a wheelchair? I started buying craft things that I could do if I couldn't walk. I mean, just my life was going to change big time. And luckily, I found a great neurosurgeon who did this surgery on me. I had spondylolisthesis. That's the diagnosis. And I had a lower lumbar fusion of my L5 and S1 at 58 years old. That was kind of the beginning of the rest of my wonderful life, actually. It was kind of a silver lining because the doctor who performed it said, go get your rehab and get busy. And so that's what I did. I got rehab. I was approaching my 60s, and I decided, okay, I want to be as fit as possible. I want a strong core. I need to, because when you have back surgery, you need to have a strong core to support your body. And I had grandkids, and I wanted to enjoy them. I love to dance. I love to travel, and I wanted to keep doing all that. So that's when I started lifting weights at about 60 years old. I went to a doctor and I said, okay, I've got to get myself together. I was going through menopause, right? And menopause is just kicks you in the butt when you're, a mature woman. And one of my doctors put me on hormone replacement therapy. It's not for everybody, but they put me on it. And they also introduced me to the trainer, Dustin Jackson, who is still training me today, 11 years later. And I guess that was the beginning of my serious, wonderful rest of my life was this. So I started lifting weights with Dustin. He was training me. He has his master's in kinesiology and dietetics. So he knows how to train someone with a surgery like mine. And he's trained me successfully over the years. And I haven't had any injuries because we're training carefully. And I can't stress that enough with people. Don't push your body past their limits. You've got to be smart about it. And the older you get, the more you realize that. When we get injured here and there, and we start realizing, well, we can't do everything in a week or two. We've got to, be careful about how we do it. I was getting bored with the same old things. Going to work out. We're working out 2 or 3 times a week, and And, it gets like, where am I going next? And he said, I can see you on stage. And this is a woman in her 60s, he's telling this to. And I didn't even know what it was. I said, well, what is on stage? What's bodybuilding all about? So I did my research, and I could not get past putting on a sparkly, skimpy bikini and getting on stage in front of a bunch of strangers. That I couldn't handle it. It's like every year he was continuing to encourage me to do it, and I just could not handle the idea of getting in this bikini. It was just like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. But when COVID came, I just decided, I'm going to double down, and I'm not going to let COVID get me. And I said, before I turn 70, I'm going to compete. And that's what I did. That was the beginning of the rest of my life. The awesome beginning of it is going through that whole process. And I really fell in love with the whole bodybuilding community, and had no idea that it was going to change my life so much, but it really has. And I've met so many wonderful people. And I like to say, I found my people at 69 years old. I found my people, like-minded people who had the same ideas about fitness and eating healthy and all that. And it has really just been amazing. Melissa, I can't tell you how wonderful it is. And I'm just so grateful that this happened. This surgery happened, and it really was the reason now that I have this great life. I'm living my best life at 71 years old.
People absolutely love you because it kind of just really inspires them. And especially because of the issues you've had with your back as well, because a lot of people would just give up. What was the difference then between when you were training regularly for just doing strength training before you decided you were going to sort of compete in a show? What was the kind of difference then in how you need to approach your training and nutrition?
I was just kind of working out, and I was eating okay. I wasn't really tightening up my eating like you need to if you're going to compete. But when I made that decision to compete at about 68 years old, I had already been lifting weights for several years, but I wasn't on point with nutrition. And I had to take steps to do that, picking the right food, eating at the right time, the usual things you have to do to compete. And it was just something inside of me. Why do I want to compete? Well, it's there, and it's a goal, and and I had no idea that it would change my life so much, but it did. It's hard to explain, but you've competed, so it's hard to explain.
Probably the biggest thing is it's a mental challenge. Would you agree?
Yes, you're so right. It is a mental challenge. It's really mind over matter. Your mind is that's the whole thing, is training your mind. And if your mind is set, then the rest of it, everything kind of falls into place. There's no doubt that it's more of a challenge when you're 71 competing with 50 years old people. It's tough. Well, I just didn't know that was so unique. I've competed in 6 shows, and I've placed well in some of them, but you don't have there's not as many women in them. And I want to get my pro card for the NPC, just like other people do that are 30 and 40. And that's not easy whenever you are competing with women. The categories are isolated, right? I mean, I'm competing with the women in their 60s. 60 plus is the oldest category you can compete in. I'm one of a handful of women. There aren't many women as old as me. There are a few, but I think it's important to start spreading this word now to these women who are in their 30s and 40s, that you still have a lot of life left. Women that get into their 50s, they don't feel good. They're in menopause. It's tough. You're gaining weight and all these things. And it's not the end. And I guess that's we got to get the word out, Melissa, that is not the end. And there's so much life left to live when you're in your 50s. And I mean, look, I'm 21 years older than a 50-year-old. And I feel like life is, I've still got a ton of life left. And so do 50-year-old women. And they need to understand that. It's a mindset. I say no old speak. Don't talk old speak around me. Don't think old. This is what happens. People, it's how they think. And you can think young, or you can think, oh, I choose to think young. And I feel like that makes all the difference. It's in here, it's up here, and it's what you think.
Do you know, one of the things I get, Renee, people say to me, a lot, and you've probably come across this because you've got a bit of a, you've got a large social media following, you've got an Instagram page, haven't you? You've got a TikTok. And I find women say to me, well, I don't want to go into a gym.
Women are intimidated by the gym. Every woman deserves to go to the gym. Don't be intimidated. Sure, it's understandable if you're unfamiliar. We all deserve to go to the gym at whatever level you are. And I think that's important, that women need to know that. You just tell yourself, I'm going, I deserve it. I can pay for my membership, whatever it is, and just go. And I guess that's the first thing, there's this thing, do it scared. I did it scared. I got on the stage scared, but you do it anyway. So if you're scared is just, I'm scared to walk into the gym, do it anyway, do it scared. And then you're going to feel so good. I've got goosebumps talking about it. You're going to feel so good when you do it, after you do it, because you're going to feel like you are worthy and you did it. I think it's important. It's just the truth. And women in their 40s, 50s, 60s that don't feel like they are worth it, change it. Change your mind. You can change your mind. You have that whole power to do that. And, you got to start somewhere. Maybe you're going to start lifting small weights at home. Just start. And I guess that's the thing. The day you start, you're going to feel so much better about yourself once you get started. And it's so worth it. Mine was a slow journey. And whoever thought, I never imagined that I would be here today talking to you or maybe making a difference with women. But I am, and I'm just I'm so grateful. I really am.
Renee is absolutely right when it comes to women and the gym. We've got just as much right to be there as anybody else, whatever your size or shape. And finally, I asked Renee a little bit about what her advice is on nutrition for you guys.
Some of the most important things are eating enough protein. I guess that is just critical. And I'm a pescatarian. There's all kind of ways to get your protein, but we need at least 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight per day. That's kind of the rule of thumb. And so I would just say, make it a point to get your protein. I log my food. I track it. I think that's important to do. It's important to do meal prep. If you're serious about your fitness journey, a lot of people do meal prep, and I do meal prep. I think the other thing is, whenever we go through this journey, we're going to screw up. We're going to eat the wrong foods, and we're going to feel mad at ourselves for doing it. And all I just want to say is, if you screw up, forgive yourself. Just forgive yourself, and you just start over right then, and just forget about that. Forget about what you did. You're starting over, and don't ever stop. Just keep doing it. And consistency is going to eventually make a difference. Consistent, eating good food, consistently lifting your weights and doing your cardio. Cardio is important. There's all kinds of things that are important, but just don't stop, and surround yourself with positive people. No negative self-talk. I guess that's the other thing. You don't bash yourself. You don't put anything negative out there in the universe about yourself. And if you've got people who are being negative, you're just going to have to shut them out. It doesn't mean you have to end your relationship, but you might just not have to share some things with them. I think that's the important thing too. I didn't even tell anyone I was competing. I have so many wonderful friends that I do things with, I dance with, I travel with. And when I did my first competition, they didn't even know I was prepping to compete. I even went to Cabo. I did things with people, and they knew I ate healthy. They just didn't know I had this other thing going on. And not until after I competed did I post anything about it. And I'd say 95% of people were very supportive. You don't have to compete, but the main thing is that you're doing this because you care about yourself. You care about your health. How you look is really just a byproduct of this good living, this good lifting and good eating and all that. So your body's going to improve just because of all those other things that you're doing.